Hello, Richard from budgetguitarist.com. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite devices in the entire universe, or at least Earth, the HX Stomp by Line 6. If you're considering getting an HX Stomp, or if you've already bought one and you're looking for validation, you've come to the right place. I'm going to give you 10 reasons why this thing is awesome and why it's worthy of your hard-earned cash. That's right. This is my sales pitch. I'm going to put on my imaginary salesman hat and do the sales pitch. Okay. Oh, hello, sir and or madam. Have I got a deal for you? This is the Line 6 HX Stomp. You might think this is just a box that looks cool and can simulate guitar amps, but let me tell you something. This can do so much more. And let's start with the bass. Perhaps you're a guitar player and you don't own a bass, but perhaps you do. Perhaps you have a bass in your possession and you want to be able to record it or play through a PA. Well, guess what? This is also a bass amp simulator. This has got several high-quality bass amps in it and bass amp speakers in it and even bass pedals in it. Don't take my word for it. This is used, not this unit, but this one's mine, but this model is used by none other than YouTube's own Adam Neely. If you don't know who Adam Neely is, he's an amazing bass player, but he's also a super amazing educator who does high-level music videos, tutorials on all kinds of music theory and other stuff. Check out Adam Neely's channel because he's amazing. That's reason number one. This is really an entire bass rig that a professional bass player would use. And you get that for free when you get this. Number two, it's also for keyboards. Let me show you something. Okay, you see where I'm tapping my finger here? Let me move my finger out of the way. It's got stereo inputs. And so if you've got a keyboard like this with stereo outputs, or you've got a crappy synth that only has a mono out, well, you can put that in here too. So why would you want to run a keyboard through this? Well, it's got all kinds of choruses, phasers, tremolos, Leslie simulators, reverb, delay, stuff that will do EQ, all kinds of EQ options. It can make any keyboard sound amazing, basically. And if you want to really take your keyboard sound to the next level, this is like having an entire rack full of high-end audio gear. Now, granted, you're only limited to 8 effects at a time, but I mean, come on, 8? You can make do with 8, right? I knew you could. Third reason, this is an audio to USB converter. That means that anything you stick into here, doesn't matter what it is, microphone, guitar, bass, keyboard, whatever, it's going to take that and convert it to USB for you, and then you can put that into a computer. You can use this the same way you would use, I don't know, this Apollo Solo that's sitting on my desktop. As a matter of fact, they practically have the same CPU. That's a computer, so is this. It's got a Shark CPU in it, which means it's very powerful. As a matter of fact, let's say you got a microphone and you got like a little mixing board. Here's what you could do with this. Output from the mixing board into here, okay? Headphone out to your headphones. This goes into your computer. Because this box is so powerful, what you can do is you can send compression and reverb on your voice to your headphones, but then output just the dry signal to your DAW, okay? Now, this box over here it's like $800. So if you want to be able to do that, you could do that with this. You can't really plug like an XLR microphone directly into here with some kind of adapter and some kind of, monkey business going on like a little mixing board. But I have done this experiment. I'm going to make a video on it one day. It's really cool. So in case you're wondering why you would want to do that, well, when singers record, they like to hear reverb in the headphones, right? But you don't want to record the reverb. What if you change your mind? Or what if you want to edit some words out and stuff, right? You want to record your vocals bone dry. So this way, you can listen to reverb, delay, compression, EQ, whatever you want while you sing, and it records the signal bone dry for you. So that's something that if you want to get that functionality, with reverb and compression and all these great effects, that's the other option, and it's like $800. And this is less than that. 4, you can use this instead of a pedal board, you can use it as an effects pedal. So I'll tell you what convinced me to get this thing. And there's a video on my channel about this, but I had a board and I had a digital delay, I had a digital reverb, and I had a digital chorus. And at some point in time, I was thinking, this is just like CPUs, like making these sounds. It's the same thing as this. The price of those two pedals almost paid for this. So super cost effective. One caveat to this: you don't want to have a high gain amp and expect you're going to use this thing, like put chorus and compression and stuff. It's too noisy. You really, if you're going to use the pedals on this, you pretty much need to run it into either a clean amp or an amp with not much gain. Now, they've improved this a little bit with firmware, but it has been my experience that you're going to get like a really noisy signal if you got high gain on your amp and you send it this. If that's what you want to do, buy the HX effects instead. Okay? Glad we got that out of the way. Number 5, if you have one of this, you can buy the software HX Native for only $99. Now, what is HX Native, you might ask? I'll tell you what it is. It's an entire Helix, which is normally $1,800. It's an entire Helix in software mode. So you can put it on your computer. Works on Mac and Windows. So what this means is you can record, and yes, this has some limitations. This has one processor in it. A full-fledged $1,800 Helix has 2. But you can get the software version of that full Helix for only $99 if you have one of these. And here's the other thing. It's not like lesser quality. It's the same code. So it's like you buy one of these, and for 99 bucks more, you get an $1,800 program that is the same thing as the Helix. It just, you do need to have like a halfway decent modern computer to run it. Like, you're not going to run this on a 2007 computer, probably. I don't think. You could probably run it on an i5 if you're not doing a bunch of other stuff, but I digress. That's pretty amazing, right? Here's what else is cool about it. You're not limited to just one Helix because it's a plug-in. And so if you have 5 guitar tracks, as long as your computer can handle it, you could have 5 full Helixes with all the blocks and all the effects. $99. I mean, come on. 6, there's a ton of amps in here, right? That's the point of this thing. There's a ton of amps. I'll throw up like let me get it out of the way here. I'll throw up like a screenshot here. Like, so there's a lot of different amplifiers models in here. And that's really pretty much the point of this thing. So, I mean, I got to mention it in the top 10, right? Do these amp models sound identical to the original real things? No, they do not. Can they sound about 90% as good? Yes, they can. Do you think anybody except like guitar players who are hyper focused on tone will ever notice that you got 90% of a Marshall sound instead of 100? No, they won't. So if you're into recording, then, I mean, and you want more than just one amp sound, right? Then this is amazing. 7, there's also a lot of cabinets in here, like simulations of cabinets, and there are simulations of different microphones that you can use on the cabinets, and you can position the simulated microphone anywhere you want on the simulated cabinet. And you would say that that's a feature, right? I'm calling that the number 7 feature. But wait, there's more. Even more importantly, you can import your own IR files. Now, to my ears, the IR files that you can import are higher quality, better sounding than the cabinet models in here. I do use some of the cabinet models in here. I think they're fine, but you can really step up your game, right, with IR files. As a matter of fact, if you would like a free IR file of the orange cabinet 1x12 vintage 30 that's sitting on the floor over here, I made that. Go to budgetguitarist.com, go to the homepage. There's a section with free stuff. You can download that file for free and put it in here. And I already did a video on my channel where I did a shootout between that and the model that's in here. In my opinion, the IR file I made is definitely superior to what's in here. So you have all the cabinets and the microphones, but even more importantly, any IR file you want, you can import into this thing. And there are some good free ones, like mine. 9. That behind the keyboard back there, that's the Fender Bassbreaker 15. At the time I bought it, it was $650. It's a 15-watt tube amp that it's really sort of Marshall-y sounding, because I really like the Marshall sound. I love that little amp. I think it sounds amazing. I think it sounds even better when I don't use the stock speaker and I put it through the Vintage 30. That's one sound. I bought that. It's always going to sound the way it does forever until the sound degrades or the tubes go bad and I have to swap out the tube. Guess what? Every once in a while, I get a new free amp on here, and I can also get like some free new effects, like a cool new reverb or 3 or 4. That's because Line 6 is still developing software for this thing. There's been 3 or 4 updates since I bought it, and with each update, I gained some new features. Originally, you could have six blocks, so to speak, on here. So a block is a pedal or an amp or a cabinet or whatever. It got upgraded to 8 for free with a firmware update. They can keep adding stuff here for free, and you can get the updates for free. Now, at some point in time, they'll probably stop. But it's just, the point is, it can be upgraded for free. This is what Line 6 does. Thank you, Line 6. Fender, where's my upgrade for my bass breaker? Well, never gonna get it. For 10, I could talk about the small size as being like a super great feature, and that would make a valid argument for this thing. I mean, it's very hefty. This is not plastic. Like this is like metal enclosure, really solidly built. It's got Phillips screws on it, so if I wanted to, I could take it apart. I'm not doing that. Let some other channel do that. I'm not doing it. Originally, I wanted to buy a Pod Go. And a Pod Go is like you take 90% of the power of this, you add a foot pedal and a bunch of other switches, and you knock some money off the price. That's the Pod Go. For a lot of people, the Pod Go will be a better deal than this. For a lot of people, the Pod Go has every feature, pretty much, that I just named off. But there's 2 important differences between this and the Pod Go, which I'm going to tell you about right now. Difference number 1, this uses Helix patches. If you get a patch for the Helix, assuming you have enough blocks, it'll go right on here. Pod Go's got its own proprietary patch thing. There's not a translator yet that I'm aware of. But to me, more importantly, this has something magical, and that is MIDI. It's got MIDI in and out. Now, like a little bug in here. Now, why do you care about MIDI? Well, you probably don't, so buy the Pod Go. But in my case, I have a computerized setup, and I have a video on my channel on how on my laptop I run backing tracks, and I send patch changes to my keyboard, and I send lighting cues to my lighting rig, which is off camera, which you can't see, it's over here. And then I also send patch changes to this guy. So while I'm playing, it's like, oh, it's time for the lead song. Computer sends a patch change through MIDI to this guy, and it executes the change. Now you might say, aha, Richard, you can do the same thing over USB. Yes, you can, and it can be noisier because USB is subject to the little high-pitched whine stuff with the audio and whatnot. Like, you got some issues you have to think about and work around with USB. USB can be tricky. MIDI is not audio, right? It's just little signal messages. So it doesn't add any excessive noise. Additionally, let's say you got something like ye old Casio's CDP 100 here. Let's say you've got an old keyboard and it doesn't have USB. All it's got is MIDI. Guess what? This is a MIDI to USB interface. Just like it does with audio, it will also do with MIDI. So I could use that guy there connected to this guy into my computer, and I could play all my keyboard parts and record it into the sequencer. So that's MIDI. So that was 10 tips. There is one more that I kind of would like to mention. That is the stereo send and return. And you can basically think of this as like something you could use like an effects loop. So one of the things I can do with this is I can send signal into it, and I can send USB audio out. I can send main audio out, right? And then I can also send audio out through this. So I could send audio to 3 different sources. I didn't include that as one of the 10 because that's kind of high-tech nerdy stuff. But I mean, I'm here, so I'm mentioning it. So what do you think? Can I box one of these up for you today? Will you buy one of these today from me? You won't. You you already bought one, and you would like to have one, but it's like too expensive. You don't have the money, right? Perfectly understandable. You can set aside your money. You can buy it on credit. Actually, if you really want to purchase this and you want to do it right now, I have an Amazon affiliated link below. And if you buy through that link, you're going to get probably free shipping, I'm assuming, from Amazon. They're going to sell it to you for as low a price as anybody else, and they're going to take a little bit of that money and they're going to send it to me, and that helps support the website and it helps fund this YouTube channel. Boy, I feel sleazy now. You don't have to buy it through the link below. I'm just like, that's just like, when I get that kind of money, I buy crap and then some of it shows up on the channel. Don't worry about it if you don't want to. But if you do want to, if you want to buy it, then its link is below. Thank you, as always, very much for watching, especially if you made it this far. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and if you want to. I have been Richard, and I will see you again next Friday at 5.